I was buttoning my shirt, getting ready for dinner at Sarah's place when my phone buzzed. 3 weeks since I'd seen my daughter. She'd been busy with her new fiancé, someone I hadn't met yet. The text was from Gerald, my lawyer. "Call me immediately." My hands trembled as I dialed. His voice cut through before I could speak. Travis Sutton, Sarah's fiancé, was a con artist. Criminal record. 2 former victims. 1 girlfriend died under suspicious circumstances. Gerald had discovered Travis already changed Sarah's will, added himself to 3 bank accounts. Tonight's dinner was a setup. Travis planned to have Sarah cut me off completely. Gerald's final words chilled me. "Perry, your daughter is in serious danger, and you're about to walk into an ambush." I stood there in my bedroom phone, still pressed to my ear, trying to process what Gerald had just told me. My daughter, my Sarah, engaged to a criminal, a man who might have killed someone. The room seemed to tilt sideways. "Perry, are you listening?" Gerald's voice pulled me back. "Cancel the dinner. We need to meet tonight and figure out our next steps." But I couldn't do that. I needed to see Sarah with my own eyes. Needed to assess this Travis person myself. Maybe pull her aside, warn her somehow. "I'm going," I told Gerald. "That's a terrible idea. She's my daughter." Gerald sighed the way he'd done 100 times over our 30-year friendship. "Then be careful. Don't let on that you know anything. And Perry, call me the second you leave there." I finished dressing my mind, racing through every conversation I'd had with Sarah over the past few months. She'd mentioned Travis casually at first. Met him at some charity fundraiser her pharmaceutical company had sponsored. He was charming, successful, understood her world. Then she'd started canceling our weekly lunches. Too busy. Travis had introduced her to new friends, new opportunities. I'd felt something off back then, but chalked it up to a father's natural protectiveness. The drive to Sarah's townhouse in Arlington took 20 minutes. Normally, I'd enjoy the autumn evening, the leaves turning gold and crimson along the parkway. Tonight, I barely noticed. I parked on the street, walked up the brick pathway to her front door, and rang the bell. A man answered. Tall, maybe 6'2", athletic build beneath an expensive navy suit, dark hair styled perfectly, smile that showed too many teeth. He was younger than I'd expected, late 30s perhaps. "You must be Perry." His handshake was too firm, too long. "Travis Sutton. Finally meeting the famous father-in-law. Sarah talks about you constantly." I studied his face as we shook hands. Handsome in a calculated way. Eyes that didn't quite match his smile. "Good to meet you," I managed. Sarah appeared from the kitchen, and my heart sank. She looked different. Thinner cheekbones, more pronounced. Her makeup was heavier than usual, almost theatrical. She wore a black dress I'd never seen before, something expensive and sophisticated that didn't seem like her style. "Dad," she kissed my cheek but wouldn't meet my eyes. Come in, come in." The townhouse smelled like catered food, expensive catering. Through the dining room doorway, I could see the table set with china. I didn't recognize flowers arranged professionally. Everything felt staged like a movie set rather than my daughter's home. Travis guided us to the living room, his hand possessive on Sarah's lower back. "Can I get you a drink, Perry? I've got a wonderful scotch, 25 years old. Just water, thanks." While Travis went to the kitchen, I tried to catch Sarah's attention. "Sweetheart, how have you been? I've missed our lunches." "I know, Dad. I'm sorry. Work has been crazy, and Travis and I have been so busy with wedding planning." "When's the wedding?" "We haven't set a date yet." Her voice sounded flat, rehearsed. Travis returned with drinks, settling himself between Sarah and me on the sofa. He dominated the conversation through appetizers, talking about his investment firm, his consulting business for tech startups, his connections in Washington. The details were vague when I pressed for specifics. Where was his office located? Which startups? He deflected smoothly, changing subjects, making jokes. Sarah barely spoke. She pushed food around her plate, took small sips of wine, smiled when Travis looked at her. It was like watching a puppet. "Excuse me," I said, standing. "Restroom." "Down the hall, first door on the left," Sarah said quietly. I walked slowly, glancing into rooms as I passed. Sarah's home office door was open. I ducked inside quickly, heart pounding. Her desk was covered with documents. I didn't have time to read carefully, but I saw enough. A new will dated 2 weeks ago. Power of attorney forms with Travis's name. Bank statements showing transfers large amounts, 50,000 here, 30,000 there. My stomach dropped. Gerald was right. This was worse than I'd imagined. "Looking for something." I spun around. Travis stood in the doorway, his smile gone. Cold eyes fixed on me. "Just admiring Sarah's diplomas," I said, gesturing to the framed degrees on the wall. Proud father. "The bathroom is the other direction." His voice had lost all warmth. I walked past him back to the dining room. Sarah was bringing out the main course salmon with asparagus. My appetite had vanished, but I forced myself to sit, to eat, to wait for the right moment. That moment never came. Halfway through dinner, Travis set down his fork. "Sarah has something she needs to tell you." Sarah stared at her plate. Her hands were shaking. "Dad, I think we need some space." "Space." I kept my voice gentle. "You've been too controlling." The words sounded memorized. "Travis has helped me see that. You've always made decisions for me, questioned my choices, tried to run my life. I'm 34 years old. I need you to step back. I'm asking you not to contact me for a while." "Sarah, that's not true. When have I ever tried to control you?" Travis cut in. "Perry, you're upsetting her. Maybe you should leave. I'm talking to my daughter, and she's asked you to give her space. Respect that." I turned to Sarah, ignoring Travis. "Sweetheart, listen to me. This man isn't who he says he is. I've learned things about him, about his past. You're in danger." "Stop it." Sarah's voice cracked. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You can't accept that I'm happy that someone loves me. I'm trying to protect you." Travis pulled out his phone, tapped the screen. Sound filled the room. My voice. "She's always been stupid, makes terrible decisions. Sometimes I wish she'd never been born. Biggest disappointment of my life." I felt the blood drain from my face. "That's not. I never said those things. We have the full recording, Perry." Travis's smile was triumphant. "From your phone conversation 2 months ago." Sarah was crying now. "How could you, Dad? How could you say those things about me?" "Sarah, I swear to you, I never said that. It's edited, manipulated. He's lying to you." But she wasn't listening. She was sobbing into her hands, and Travis had his arms around her, shooting me a look of pure victory over her shoulder. "I think you need to leave," Travis said calmly. "Sarah, should I call the police?" "No, I'll go." I stood my legs unsteady. "But Sarah, please, you have to believe me. That recording is fake. This man is dangerous." "Get out," Sarah screamed. "Just get out." Travis walked me to the door. In the entryway out of Sarah's sight, he leaned close. "You can't win, old man. She's mine now. Her money, her life, everything. And there's nothing you can do about it." "We'll see about that. Try anything, and I'll destroy her. I have more recordings, more evidence of your abuse. I'll make sure she never speaks to you again. I'll make sure everyone knows what a terrible father you are." He opened the door. "Good night, Perry." I walked to my car in a daze. Behind me, I heard Sarah still crying, Travis's soothing voice comforting her. As I drove away, I saw him through the window, holding my daughter, looking directly at me with a cold, calculated smile that said he'd won. I called Gerald before I even left Arlington. He was at his office waiting. By the time I arrived downtown, he'd already started making calls. Tell me everything he said, pouring us both coffee in his conference room. It was almost 9 at night, but Gerald had never been one to watch the clock when a client needed him. I described the dinner, the fake recording Travis's threats, the documents I'd seen in Sarah's office. Gerald took notes, his expression growing darker. "The recording is the problem," he said finally. "If he's good enough to make it sound convincing, and if he's already shown it to Sarah, she's going to believe it over anything you say right now. We need evidence. Hard evidence of who Travis really is." "What kind of evidence?" "Everything. His real identity, his past victims, his criminal record, financial records showing what he's stolen from others. Anything that proves he's a con artist." Gerald made more calls. Within an hour, we had a private investigator on retainer, Helen Torres. She'd worked with Gerald on dozens of cases over the years. Fraud, embezzlement, corporate espionage. If anyone could dig up Travis's past, it was Helen. "She'll need 2 weeks minimum," Gerald said. "In the meantime, you need to be careful. If Travis is as dangerous as I think he is, he's not going to sit around waiting for us to expose him. He'll make moves to protect himself." I drove home, exhausted, emotionally drained. My house felt empty. Sarah's mother had died 8 years ago, cancer, and since then it had just been me and Sarah. Weekly lunches, holiday dinners, phone calls about nothing and everything. Now I couldn't even call her. I tried anyway the next morning. Her phone went straight to voicemail. I sent a text. No response. An email. It bounced back. Address blocked. 3 days passed. Helen worked her contacts, digging through databases, tracking financial records. I tried to maintain my normal routine, volunteered at the VA hospital, attended my book club, pretended everything was fine. But at night I lay awake, imagining Travis hurting Sarah, stealing from her worse. On the 4th day, I drove to Sarah's office building downtown. She was vice president at a major pharmaceutical company, had worked there for 10 years. Surely I could see her at work, talk to her away from Travis. The receptionist's smile faded when I gave my name. "I'm sorry, sir. Miss Carson left instructions that you're not permitted in the building." "I'm her father. I understand, but those are her instructions. I'm going to have to ask you to leave, or I'll need to call security." 2 security guards appeared before I could respond. They weren't rough, but they were firm. They escorted me out to the sidewalk and watched until I got in my car and drove away. Gerald called that afternoon with worse news. "Perry, you need to come to my office right now." A courier had delivered a certified letter. Gerald's hands shook slightly as he handed it to me. A restraining order. Sarah had filed it that morning. The petition claimed I'd been harassing her and Travis for weeks, making threats, exhibiting unstable behavior. The falsified recording was attached as evidence, along with statements from Travis and 2 people I'd never heard of, claiming they'd witnessed my aggressive behavior toward Sarah. I was ordered to stay 500 feet away from Sarah and Travis. No phone calls, no emails, no contact of any kind. Violation meant immediate arrest. "This is insane," I said. "I haven't harassed anyone." "I know. But judges err on the side of caution with restraining orders. We can fight it, but the hearing won't be for 3 weeks. Until then, you have to follow it to the letter. Perry, I mean it. 1 violation and you'll be arrested, and that will only make you look worse." I nodded numbly. Travis had outmaneuvered me again. He'd isolated Sarah completely, and now he'd made it illegal for me to even try to reach her. The next week crawled by. I followed the restraining order, stayed away, said nothing. But Helen kept digging, and finally she found something. She called on a Tuesday evening. "Perry, we need to meet. Tonight. I found him." We met at a diner off Route 1, late enough that the place was nearly empty. Helen spread papers across the table between our coffee cups. "His real name is Travis Sutton Moore," she said. "He's been married twice before, under different name variations. Travis Moore in Atlanta, Travis Sutton in Charleston. First wife Amanda died 2 years into their marriage. Fell down the stairs at their home. Death was ruled accidental, but you don't think it was. Life insurance paid out $300,000. Travis collected and moved to Charleston 6 months later. Married again a woman named Jennifer. She's still alive, but he destroyed her financially. Cleaned out their joint accounts and disappeared. She tried to press charges, but Travis had covered his tracks too well. No hard evidence. Where is she now? Richmond. And Perry, she's willing to talk to us." We drove to Richmond the next day. Jennifer lived in a small apartment in a run-down complex, a far cry from the life she'd once had. She was nervous when she opened the door, 45 years old, but looking older. Trauma-aged people. She invited us in, made tea with shaking hands. Then she told us her story. Travis had swept her off her feet. Charming, successful, attentive. They'd married quickly. Within 6 months, he'd convinced her to add him to her accounts, to list him on her house deed, to name him in her will. Then the isolation started. He drove wedges between her and her friends, her family, questioned their motives, their loyalty, made her doubt herself. He controlled everything, Jennifer said quietly. What I ate, what I wore, where I went. If I questioned him, he'd get angry. Not violent, not at first, just cold, withholding. He'd make me feel like I was crazy for doubting him. The emotional abuse escalated. Then the threats. When Jennifer finally realized what he was doing when she tried to leave, Travis told her he'd hurt her elderly parents if she didn't cooperate. He knew where they lived, their routines, their vulnerabilities. "I gave him everything just to get away," she said. "Signed over the house, the accounts, everything. He let me go because it was easier than killing me. I think he was already planning his next victim." She showed us photos on her phone. Pictures of bruises on her arms, her ribs. Screenshots of threatening texts from burner phone numbers she couldn't trace. A recording of Travis's voice, muffled but clear enough, telling her that accidents happen to people who betray him. "Why didn't you take this to the police?" Helen asked. "I did. They said it wasn't enough. The bruises could be from anything. The texts were from untraceable numbers. The recording was too unclear to identify him definitively. His lawyers were better than anything I could afford, and he told me if I ever talked, he'd finish what he started with Amanda. I felt sick. This was the man with my daughter right now. This was who Sarah thought she was going to marry. "Will you testify?" I asked. "Help us save my daughter." Jennifer nodded slowly. "Yes, I should have done more for Amanda. I won't let him hurt someone else." We drove back to Northern Virginia with Jennifer's evidence. Gerald reviewed everything and began preparing for the restraining order hearing. We had proof now. Travis's pattern was clear. We could show the judge who he really was. The hearing was scheduled for the following Thursday, but on Wednesday night I got a call from a hospital. Sarah had been admitted. Overdose. Apparent suicide attempt. I drove 90 miles an hour to the hospital restraining order forgotten. Sarah was my daughter. Nothing else mattered. Travis was in the emergency room waiting area, playing the role of devastated fiancé. Hospital staff comforted him. He looked up when I burst through the doors, and for just a second I saw satisfaction in his eyes before he masked it with shock and anger. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. "Someone call security. Where's my daughter?" A doctor intercepted me. "Sir, you need to calm down. Your daughter is stable but unconscious. She took an entire bottle of sleeping pills. We're monitoring her closely. I need to see her." "Are you family?" "I'm her father." Travis stepped forward. "He's not allowed near her. There's a restraining order. He's been stalking her for weeks. This stress, what he's put her through, is why she did this." The doctor looked uncertain. A security guard appeared. Then another. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. My daughter needs me." "Sir, if there's a restraining order, you can't be here." Travis pulled out his phone, showing them the order. Then he called the police. "Yes, I need help. The man we have a restraining order against just violated it. He's at County General Hospital harassing us." I barely heard him. Through the window of Sarah's room, I could see her lying in the hospital bed, tubes and monitors everywhere. Her face was pale, lifeless. "My little girl." The police arrived quickly. I tried to explain, tried to tell them Travis had done this, had drugged her, that it wasn't suicide. But I sounded desperate, unhinged, and I had violated the restraining order. That was a fact. They arrested me right there in the hospital. Travis watched from Sarah's doorway as they put handcuffs on me, leading me away. He looked pleased. In the police car, I realized the full scope of what Travis was doing. Sarah hadn't tried to kill herself. He'd drugged her. This was his next move. Make her look unstable, set up another accident, or get himself named her guardian if she was declared incompetent. And with me arrested, with my credibility destroyed, there was no one left to protect her. Gerald posted my bail the next morning, $10,000. I walked out of the county jail into cold November rain, exhausted and terrified. "This is bad," Perry Gerald said as we drove to his office. "You violated a restraining order. The prosecutor wants to make an example. If you do it again, you're looking at serious jail time." I had to see her. "I know. But now Travis has exactly what he wanted. You look unhinged, dangerous. Everything he's claimed about you seems validated." At Gerald's office, we learned Sarah had woken up, but the news wasn't good. She claimed she didn't remember taking the pills. The hospital psychiatrist, a doctor, Marcus Webb, reported that Sarah was confused, possibly delusional, had mentioned wanting to end things. Travis was pushing for a psychiatric hold. "Who's this psychiatrist?" I asked. Helen had already started investigating. Marcus Webb, licensed in Virginia for 3 years. Before that, he practiced in Ohio and Florida. Both states suspended his license temporarily for unethical practices. Nothing criminal, but complaints from patients about inappropriate relationships, questionable diagnoses. And he just happens to be at the hospital when Sarah is admitted. Travis requested him specifically. They know each other. It got worse. Helen dug deeper and found a connection between Dr. Webb and Amanda Travis's first wife. Dr. Webb had conducted a psychiatric evaluation on Amanda 2 weeks before her death, declaring her mentally stable but noting some depression and anxiety. When Amanda died, that evaluation was used to support the theory that her fall was accidental, that she hadn't been suicidal but had simply slipped. "Travis has a system," Helen said. "Dr. Webb provides the medical documentation he needs, makes victims look unstable, provides cover for accidents." Sarah was moved to a psychiatric facility for a 72-hour evaluation hold. I couldn't visit because of the restraining order. I couldn't call. I couldn't do anything but wait and pray. Gerald filed an emergency motion to get Sarah released, presenting all our evidence about Travis. But Travis's attorneys were good, expensive. They filed counter-motions with their own evidence. Psychiatric evaluations showing Sarah had been deteriorating for months. Financial records allegedly showing I'd been trying to control Sarah's money. Witness statements from people claiming I'd threatened Sarah. It was all lies, but it looked convincing on paper. The hearing was held 3 days later in circuit court. I sat beside Gerald, watching Travis on the other side of the courtroom with his 3 attorneys. He wore a gray suit, looked concerned and responsible. I probably looked exactly like what he'd painted me, as a desperate, unstable old man grasping at conspiracies. The judge reviewed the evidence. Gerald presented Jennifer's testimony about her experience with Travis. Travis's attorneys objected, argued it was irrelevant to Sarah's case, prejudicial. The judge agreed. Jennifer's testimony was stricken. We showed the financial connections between Travis and Dr. Webb. The attorneys called it coincidental. Webb was a respected psychiatrist. Travis had simply recommended someone he trusted. The fake recording of my voice was played again. Travis's attorneys showed photos of the documents I'd been looking at in Sarah's office, suggesting I'd broken in, that I was stalking her. Gerald fought hard. He was brilliant, but we didn't have enough hard evidence connecting Travis to current crimes against Sarah. Everything was circumstantial, and I'd violated the restraining order, which made me look guilty. The judge's ruling came down hard. The restraining order would remain in place. Sarah would complete her psychiatric evaluation. An investigation into my behavior would continue. I was ordered to have no contact with Sarah or Travis, and if I violated it again, I'd face immediate incarceration. We walked out of the courthouse into gray afternoon light. I felt hollowed out. "We're not done," Gerald said. "Helen's still investigating. We'll find something concrete." But time was running out. Helen pulled me aside while Gerald talked to his paralegal. "Perry, there's something you need to know. Travis isn't working alone anymore. I found payments from his shell companies to at least 3 other people. One is Dr. Webb. The others I'm still identifying. But this is bigger than just Travis. He has a network. That night I sat in my living room trying to think. Travis had thought of everything. He'd isolated. Sarah destroyed my credibility, built a legal wall around himself. Every move I made, he was 3 steps ahead. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Perry." It was Helen. Her voice was urgent. "Don't go home tonight. Go to a hotel. Pay cash. Don't use your credit card." "Why?" "Just trust me. I'll explain tomorrow." I grabbed my wallet and keys, headed for the door. But I was too late. Red and blue lights flashed outside my window. Police cars. Multiple units. I opened the door before they could knock. "Perry Carson." "Yes. We have a warrant to search your home. We also need you to come with us." "What's this about?" "Narcotics possession. We received a tip." They searched my house while I stood in the living room, an officer beside me. It didn't take long. In my bedroom closet, in a shoebox I'd never seen before, they found a bag of white powder and several bottles of prescription pills. Those aren't mine, but it didn't matter. I was arrested for the 2nd time in a week. The officer read me my rights while his partner bagged the evidence. As they led me to the patrol car, I saw my neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, watching from her window. The look on her face said everything. Disappointment. Fear. She'd known me for 15 years, but now I was a criminal in her eyes. At the police station, I learned someone had called in an anonymous tip about drug activity at my address. The timing was perfect. The drugs were planted exactly where police would find them. Gerald arrived within an hour, furious. "This is harassment. Obviously planted evidence." But proving that would be difficult. My fingerprints weren't on the bag or bottles, but that could be explained away. The drugs had been in my house, in my closet. Reasonable doubt only went so far. Gerald posted bail again. Another $10,000. My savings were evaporating. In his car, he turned to me with the most serious expression I'd ever seen on his face. "Perry, they're building a case to destroy you completely. The restraining order violation, now drug charges. Travis is painting a picture of an out-of-control man spiraling into dangerous behavior. If this continues, they might try to have you declared incompetent, unfit. They could take away your rights, put you in a facility. He wants me out of the way completely. Worse than that, I think he wants you dead. make it look like suicide or an overdose. Despondent father couldn't handle his daughter rejecting him, turned to drugs, tragic end. I sat in silence as Gerald drove. Everything I'd built in 68 years was crumbling. My reputation, my relationship with my daughter, my freedom. And Sarah was still trapped with a monster probably being drugged and manipulated while I was powerless to help her. What do? I asked finally. We find proof. Concrete, undeniable proof that Travis has committed crimes against Sarah. We need someone on the inside. Someone who can get close enough to see what's really happening. An idea formed. Sarah's best friend, Monica Davies. She hasn't been around lately, but she and Sarah have been close since college. Maybe Monica can help. We found Monica's number. She answered on the third ring, and when I explained who I was, she nearly cried. Mr. Carson, I've been so worried about Sarah. She cut me off months ago. Travis told her I was a bad influence. I've tried calling, but she won't answer. I explained everything. Monica listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, I'll do it. Tell me what you need. The plan was risky. Monica would contact Travis, apologize for doubting him, say she wanted to support Sarah and be part of the wedding. She'd try to get access, maybe visit Sarah at the facility. Anything to assess Sarah's condition and gather evidence. 2 days later, Monica showed up at the psychiatric facility. She'd called ahead, spoken to Travis, laid it on thick about how wrong she'd been. Travis was suspicious but agreed to let her visit briefly. Monica found Sarah in a common room staring out a window. She barely recognized her friend. Sarah had lost more weight. Her eyes were unfocused. When Monica said her name, Sarah turned slowly, like moving through water. They sat together. Monica kept the conversation light at first, reminiscing about college mutual friends. Slowly, Sarah became more present. Monica casually pulled out her phone, pretended to show Sarah photos, but she was recording. Sarah, are you okay? Monica asked quietly. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I don't know. I can't think straight. Everything's foggy. Do you remember taking the pills? No. I would never do that. Travis gave me something that night. Something to help me sleep, he said. Then I woke up here. Sarah gripped Monica's hand. Mon, I think Dad was right. I think Travis has been giving me things. I can't focus, can't make decisions. I'm scared. What about your dad? Travis said you don't want to see him. I do. I need to apologize. The things I said, I don't even remember saying them. It's like I was watching someone else. Sarah's voice dropped to a whisper. Help me, please. I need to get out of here. Monica got it all on video. Shaky footage, but Sarah's words were clear. She showed the video to me and Gerald that night. This is it, Gerald said. This is proof of coercion, drugging, false imprisonment. We can get her out. We went to the police the next morning with the video. The detective watched it carefully. He seemed convinced. He agreed to send officers to the facility to take Sarah into protective custody and arrest Travis. But when the police arrived at the facility 3 hours later, Sarah was gone. Travis had checked her out 2 hours earlier. He had medical power of attorney signed weeks ago when Sarah was still under his influence. It was legal. Travis and Sarah had disappeared. Their phones were off. Travis's apartment was empty. His car was gone. Helen tracked down the information that mattered most. Travis had booked a private plane to the Cayman Islands under a shell company name. The flight was scheduled to leave in 4 hours from a small private airport 90 miles away. I understood immediately. Travis knew we were closing in. He was running, taking Sarah with him. Once in the Cayman Islands, a jurisdiction with no extradition for financial crimes, he'd marry. Sarah transfer all her assets, then stage an accident. Drowning falls, something plausible. He'd return a wealthy widower, and no one could touch him. The police said they'd contact aviation authorities, but it would take time. Too much time. Helen looked at me. We have to go ourselves. I'm on bail. If I violate the conditions, your daughter's life is at stake. She was right. Nothing else mattered. We got in Helen's car and raced toward the small private airport. I called Gerald, explained what we were doing. He said he'd try to delay the flight, but I heard the doubt in his voice. The highway stretched ahead of us. 90 miles. 4 hours until takeoff. If we didn't stop that plane, I'd never see my daughter alive again. Helen drove like she'd done pursuit training, weaving through traffic on Interstate 66. I gripped the door handle, watching the speedometer climb past 85. Every minute counted. She was on her phone, constantly calling contacts trying to get the flight delayed, one hand on the wheel, one holding the phone, somehow maintaining control as we rocketed westward. Yes, private charter tail number November 7, 3 Tango Romeo. Destination Cayman Islands. You need to ground that flight immediately. The aviation authority representative was skeptical. Helen explained about the kidnapping, the drugging, the danger, but private charters operated under different rules. Without an official police order, without concrete proof of immediate danger, they couldn't just ground a plane because someone made a phone call. Then get me police authorization, Helen snapped. I'll hold. We exited the interstate onto rural two-lane roads. The airport was small, catering to wealthy clients who wanted privacy. No commercial flights, no TSA, minimal security, perfect for someone like Travis who needed to leave the country quietly. My phone rang. Gerald. Perry, I got through to the local sheriff's department. They're sending a unit to the airport, but it's going to be close. They're 25 minutes out. We're 15 minutes away. Don't do anything stupid. Wait for the police, but I couldn't promise that. Through the windshield, I could see storm clouds gathering. The afternoon light had turned gray and ominous. Helen ended her call. They won't stop the flight without police authorization. I'm sorry, Perry. How much time do we have? If the flight's on schedule, 35 minutes until takeoff. We pulled into the airport access road with 15 minutes to spare. Small facility, one main building, several hangars, and a single runway. Through the chain-link fence, I could see a sleek white jet on the tarmac, and two figures walking toward it. One tall, confident. The other smaller, stumbling. That's them, I said. Helen parked near the fence. Police are almost here. We should wait. But Sarah stumbled again, and Travis had to support her. She was barely conscious. Whatever he'd given her, it was strong. If that plane took off, she might not survive the flight. I can't wait, I said, opening the door. Perry, don't be crazy. She's my daughter. I ran to the fence. 8 feet tall chain link with barbed wire at the top. I hadn't climbed a fence in 40 years. My shoulder still ached from the break I'd suffered in a skiing accident 5 years ago. But none of that mattered. I grabbed the fence and started climbing. The links bit into my fingers. My feet slipped. I pulled myself up, ignoring the pain. At the top, I had to navigate the barbed wire. I threw my jacket over it, tried to swing my leg over. The barbed wire caught my pants, ripped through the fabric into my calf. I felt blood hot and wet, but I kept going. I dropped to the other side, badly landing hard on the asphalt. My ankle twisted, sharp pain shot up my leg, but I forced myself up and ran toward the jet. Travis saw me coming. He pushed Sarah toward the stairs, yelled something to the pilot. The engines were starting, the high-pitched whine growing louder. "Sarah," I screamed. "Sarah, don't get on that plane." Travis intercepted me before I reached the stairs. His fist connected with my jaw, snapping my head back. I fell, tasted blood. He kicked me in the ribs. Once, twice. The world spun. "You couldn't leave it alone, old man." His voice was cold, mechanical. He kicked me again. "This is your fault. Everything that happens to Sarah now is because you couldn't mind your own business." I tried to get up. He kicked me in the shoulder, the one that had been broken. Agony exploded through my body. I collapsed, gasping. Pathetic. Travis turned back toward the plane. But Sarah was at the top of the stairs. She'd turned around. Through her drugged haze, she saw me lying on the ground, blood on my face. "Dad." Her voice was weak, confused. "Sarah, get inside," Travis ordered. She didn't move. Something was breaking through the fog. Recognition. Horror. "Dad, get inside now." Helen appeared, running from the parking lot. She had her phone out, recording everything. "Travis Sutton, stop. Police are on the way. This is all being recorded." Travis saw her filming. Saw me trying to get up. Heard sirens in the distance. His face twisted with rage and calculation. He was losing control. Sarah started coming back down the stairs. No, I'm not going." "Sarah, we have to leave now." "What did you do to my dad?" She was crying, still confused but fighting through it. The sirens grew louder. Multiple vehicles racing up the access road. Travis grabbed Sarah's arm, tried to force her up the stairs. She resisted. They struggled. Helen kept filming, kept shouting. I forced myself to my feet, agony shooting through my ribs, my shoulder, my leg. I had to reach Sarah. Police cars burst through the gate, sirens wailing. 4 units. 6 officers spilling out, weapons drawn. "Freeze. Hands up." Travis looked at the police, at Helen, with her phone at me, bloodied on the ground. At Sarah, fighting him. His empire of manipulation was crumbling in real time. He let go of Sarah and bolted for the plane. "Stop." The officers ran forward. Travis was at the stairs. He turned to the pilot. "Take off now." But the pilot was already climbing out, hands up. He wasn't getting involved in whatever this was. Travis tried to get into the cockpit himself, but 2 officers tackled him before he made it. He fought them, screaming, threatening. It took 3 officers to get him restrained and handcuffed. Sarah collapsed at the bottom of the stairs. I limped to her, fell to my knees beside her. "Sarah." "Sweetheart, I'm here." Her eyes were glassy, unfocused, but she grabbed my hand. "Dad, I'm sorry. So sorry." "Don't be sorry. Just breathe. You're safe now." Paramedics arrived. They worked on both of us. My ribs were broken, maybe 3 of them. My shoulder was damaged again. The cut on my leg needed stitches. But I wouldn't let them take me away until I knew Sarah was okay. They loaded Sarah into an ambulance, started an IV, began treating her for whatever Travis had given her. I rode with her, holding her hand while they worked. Helen followed in her car. At the hospital, doctors ran toxicology screens. Sarah had high levels of benzodiazepines in her system, along with something else they couldn't immediately identify. Whatever Travis had been giving her was powerful and dangerous. While they treated Sarah, police took my statement, then Helen's. They had Travis in custody, but the detective said they needed to build the case carefully. Travis's lawyers were already on their way. Gerald arrived at the hospital 3 hours later. He found me in the emergency room, getting my ribs wrapped and my leg stitched. "Perry, you look terrible." "But she's safe. For now." "But Travis's attorneys have already filed motions. They're claiming you attacked him, that he was trying to protect Sarah from you. They've got witnesses, the pilot airport staff. They're spinning this." My heart sank. Even caught red-handed, Travis was fighting back. "There's more," Gerald said quietly. Travis made a phone call from the police station. His one allowed call. Afterwards, he smiled at the detectives. Told them to check with the DA. 2 hours later, we learned why. Travis's attorneys had filed emergency motions arguing that the arrest was improper, that I had violated my restraining order, and assaulted Travis, that Helen had conducted illegal surveillance. They were claiming entrapment, illegal evidence gathering, and some of it might stick. Worse, Dr. Marcus Webb had disappeared. Without him proving, the drugging conspiracy was harder. The medications in Sarah's system could be explained away. Travis could claim Sarah had taken them herself, that he was trying to help her, that I was the aggressor. He might walk, Gerald said. Maybe not completely, but he might get bail, might get charges reduced. His lawyers are very good. I sat in the hospital hallway, wrapped in bandages, every breath sending pain through my broken ribs. We'd stopped the plane. We'd saved Sarah. But Travis still had cards to play. And then the district attorney arrived. He was a serious man in his 50s, career prosecutor. He sat down across from me. "Mr. Carson, I've reviewed the case. Travis Sutton is out on bail. $1 million posted 2 hours ago." "What?" "He has benefactors. We don't know who yet. The money came through a bail bondsman backed by offshore accounts. He's going to run. We've confiscated his passport, tagged him with electronic monitoring. But you're right to be concerned. Men like Travis always have escape plans." He leaned forward. "Here's what I can tell you. We're building a case, but it's complicated. The evidence is messy. Some of it might not be admissible. His attorneys are already attacking it. I'm not going to lie to you, this might not end the way you want. He tried to kidnap my daughter. I believe you. But proving it in court is different. Right now we have competing narratives, and his legal team is working to dismantle ours piece by piece." Sarah was released from the hospital the next morning, still groggy but recovering. We took her to a safe location, a house owned by one of Gerald's clients, tucked away in the mountains. Police protection was arranged. But it felt inadequate. Travis was out there free, angry. That night, Sarah and I finally talked. Really talked. She was crying, apologizing over and over. "I should have listened to you. The recording, I should have known it was fake. He was good at what he did. He fooled everyone. Monica told me what you went through trying to save me. The arrests, the restraining order, everything. And I believed him over you. You were being drugged. It wasn't your fault." She showed me something on her phone. A video she'd found in her cloud storage, uploaded automatically from her phone weeks ago. "I forgot this was here. Travis recorded it." He told me he'd release it if I ever betrayed him. I watched the video. It showed Sarah at a party clearly intoxicated or drugged, saying things that were embarrassing, compromising, things that would destroy her professional reputation if they got out. He always had insurance, Sarah said. Leverage. That's how he controlled me. I was scared of what he'd do if I left. He can't hurt you anymore. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure it was true. Travis was out there preparing his next move. And I knew men like him didn't stop until they won, or until they were destroyed completely. The next 2 weeks were tense. Sarah stayed at the safe house with police protection. I visited every day bringing groceries, books, trying to maintain some normalcy. But we both knew it was temporary. We couldn't hide forever. Helen and Gerald worked around the clock on the case. Travis's attorneys were filing motion after motion, trying to get evidence excluded, trying to get charges reduced. The district attorney was holding firm, but the legal battle was brutal. Sarah gave a full deposition. She described months of manipulation, isolation, drugging. She talked about how Travis had convinced her I was the enemy, how he'd controlled her finances, her decisions, her entire life. She broke down multiple times during the interview, but she got through it. The DA brought in Jennifer Travis's second wife. She testified about her experience. Then they found Amanda's family, Travis's first wife, who died. Her brother had never believed the death was accidental. He testified about suspicious circumstances, about how Travis had isolated Amanda about the life insurance payout. But Travis's lawyers were good. They argued that Sarah had been free to leave any time, that the financial transfers were her choice, that Jennifer's experience was years ago and irrelevant, that Amanda's death had been investigated and ruled accidental. They argued that I was the aggressor, that Travis had been trying to protect Sarah from an unstable, abusive father. They had witnesses who testified about my behavior, about the restraining order violations, about the drug arrest. The case was falling apart. Then Helen had a breakthrough. She'd been tracking down the source of Travis's bail money, following the shell companies and offshore accounts. She found a property, a remote cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains owned by one of the shell companies. "This has to be where he operates from," she said. "If there's evidence anywhere, it's there." The DA got a warrant. Police raided the cabin on a Thursday morning. Helen and I waited at Gerald's office for word. The call came 3 hours later. They'd found computers, hard drives, documents. Everything was encrypted, but forensic teams were working on it. By that evening, they'd cracked the encryption. What they found was devastating and perfect. Travis had kept records of everything. 12 years of cons, 5 previous victims, detailed plans for each operation, financial spreadsheets showing exactly how much he'd stolen from each person. Over $8 million total. There were photos, videos, recordings. Travis had documented everything, kept trophies of his conquests, including videos of himself deliberately drugging victims, manipulating them. There was footage of him with Sarah recording her drugged state, laughing about how easy she was to control. There was footage with Amanda, his first wife, showing him pushing her toward the stairs, the camera angle suggesting he'd set up the recording before her accident. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable. Travis's attorneys couldn't spin this. The videos showed intent, showed premeditation, showed a pattern of predatory behavior spanning over a decade. But the DA called with urgent news. "We're moving to arrest Travis again, maximum charges this time. But his electronic monitor went dead 2 hours ago. He's cut it off and run." Travis knew about the raid. Someone had tipped him off. He'd disappeared. FBI issued alerts. Airports, borders everywhere. But Travis had resources, connections, escape plans. For 3 days, nothing. Sarah stayed at the safe house, terrified. I stayed with her. Police protection was increased. We waited for Travis to make his move. The move came on the 4th day. Unknown number on my phone. I answered, putting it on speaker, so Helen and the FBI agent with us could hear. "Perry." Travis's voice was calm, almost friendly. "You destroyed my life. Took everything from me. You know what happens now. You're finished, Travis. Turn yourself in. I'm going to kill your daughter. Slowly, painfully. Then I'm going to kill you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually, you'll never feel safe again. Every shadow, every noise, you'll wonder if it's me. The FBI is tracing this call. Burner phone Perry. Already gone by the time they triangulate. I'm better at this than they are." His voice turned cold. "Sarah first, then you. That's a promise." The call ended. The FBI agent immediately made calls. But Travis was right. The phone was untraceable, probably already destroyed. That night I couldn't sleep. Neither could Sarah. We sat in the living room of the safe house police outside, trying to pretend we felt secure. But we didn't. Travis was out there planning, waiting. "I can't live like this," Sarah said, looking over my shoulder forever, wondering when he's going to come. "We'll catch him." "What if you don't? What if he just disappears for years, then comes back?" She was right. We couldn't live like this indefinitely. Eventually, the police protection would end. Eventually, we'd have to return to normal life, and Travis would be waiting. I talked to Helen and Gerald the next morning. "We need to draw him out. Use me as bait." "That's insane," Gerald said. "It's the only way. Travis is fixated on me. He blames me for everything. If I'm exposed vulnerable, he'll come for me." The FBI was reluctant but agreed to set up a trap. I would return to my home. It would be wired monitored, surrounded by undercover agents. They'd leak to the press that I was angry about Travis's escape, that I was offering a reward for information, that I had more evidence hidden at my house that would ensure Travis could never escape justice. It was a lie, but it was believable. Travis might take the bait. He'd want to eliminate the threat and get the supposed evidence. Sarah protested. "Dad, you're not using yourself as bait. It's the only way to end this." "Then I'm coming too." "Absolutely not. He threatened me too. And he won't be able to resist if we're both there. 2 targets, 1 trip. It'll appeal to his efficiency." The FBI argued against it, but Sarah was determined. In the end, they agreed. Both of us would be at my house. Maximum protection. The trap would be set. 2 nights later, we were ready. My house was wired with cameras and microphones. FBI agents were positioned in the woods around the property and unmarked vehicles on the street, even in my neighbor's house. Sarah and I wore bulletproof vests under our clothes. We tried to act normal moving around the house, talking, pretending everything was fine. 3 a.m. I heard glass breaking. Downstairs kitchen window. I pressed the alert button they'd given me. FBI would move in within seconds. But Travis was faster than they'd anticipated. He appeared in my bedroom doorway, gun in hand. "Hello, Perry." "Travis." Sarah emerged from the guest room. Travis swung the gun toward her. "Perfect, both of you." "You can't win this," I said. "The house is surrounded." "I know. I've been watching for 2 days, counted every agent, mapped every position. I'm not here to escape. I'm here to finish this." He aimed the gun at Sarah. "She dies first. You watch. Then you." I stepped between them. "You want me? Here I am. Let her go." Touching. The devoted father. "Too bad you failed to protect her from me all those months." Outside, I heard movement, the FBI closing in. But they'd be too late. Travis knew it. He was on a suicide mission. But Sarah stepped forward. She looked Travis in the eye. "You can kill us both. Maybe you do. But you've already lost. Everything you built gone. Your whole operation exposed. Every victim knows what you did. You're not a criminal mastermind. You're just a coward who preys on people who trusted you. Shut up. The FBI has all your records, all your videos. The world knows what you are. A pathetic, weak man who couldn't make it honestly, so you stole and manipulated. Even if you kill us, you've lost." Travis's hand shook. The gun wavered. I said, "Shut up. You're nothing. And soon you'll be dead or in prison forever. Either way, we won." For a moment, I thought he'd shoot her. His finger tightened on the trigger. But then I heard the FBI breaking down the front door, shouting commands. Travis looked at Sarah, then at me. Something changed in his eyes. Calculation. He was weighing his options. He lowered the gun, put it on the floor, raised his hands. "Smart choice," I said. FBI agents swarmed the room. They took Travis down, cuffed him, secured the weapon. He didn't resist, just stared at Sarah and me with cold hatred. As they led him away, he said one last thing. "This isn't over." But it was. This time, maximum security. Federal custody, no bail. His attorneys could file all the motions they wanted. The evidence was overwhelming. Travis would spend the rest of his life in prison. The trial began 6 months later. Spring had come to Virginia, cherry blossoms blooming along the parkway. The courthouse was packed, media everywhere. Travis's case had become national news. The con artist who'd terrorized multiple women over 12 years, who'd possibly murdered one wife, who'd nearly succeeded with another victim. I sat beside Sarah in the courtroom. Gerald was at the prosecutor's table as a witness consultant. Helen was there too, having provided crucial evidence. Travis was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit shackled. He'd lost weight. Prison didn't suit him. His expensive suits and charming smile were gone, replaced with pale skin and dead eyes. The prosecution's case was meticulous. They presented the evidence from the cabin. Videos of Travis drugging Sarah, manipulating her. Financial records showing systematic theft. The forged recordings he'd made of my voice. Everything, Jennifer testified. She was stronger now, 6 months of therapy helping her reclaim her voice. She described Travis's abuse, his threats, his methods. The jury listened, horrified. Amanda's family testified. Her brother showed photos of Amanda before Travis, happy and healthy. Then photos from the weeks before her death, thin and frightened. He described how Travis had isolated her, controlled her. The life insurance policy Travis had taken out on her just months before she died. Sarah testified. It took 3 days. She walked the jury through every step of Travis's manipulation. How he'd swept her off her feet at the charity gala. How he'd gradually separated her from friends and family. How he'd convinced her to sign financial documents. How he'd drugged her, controlled her, terrorized her. The defense tried to attack her testimony, suggesting she'd been a willing participant, that she'd made her own choices. But the videos from Travis's cabin destroyed that narrative. The footage showed Sarah drugged and incoherent, while Travis laughed and talked to the camera about his plans. I testified too. Described the dinner where Travis played the fake recording, the restraining order, the arrests, finding Sarah at the hospital after the overdose, the chase to the airport, all of it. Travis's attorneys tried to paint me as an overbearing father who couldn't accept his daughter's independence. But the evidence was too strong. The jury saw through it. The forensic psychiatrist testified about Travis's psychological profile: narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, complete lack of empathy. He'd preyed on vulnerable women, seeing them only as resources to exploit. Other victims came forward during the trial. Women Travis had scammed in smaller cons before he'd escalated to his more elaborate schemes. The pattern was clear and damning. Travis's attorneys put up a weak defense. They tried to argue entrapment, illegal search and seizure, prejudicial evidence. Nothing stuck. The evidence was overwhelming. Travis himself didn't testify. His lawyers wouldn't let him. He sat at the defense table expressionless as the prosecution dismantled his life piece by piece. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. When they returned, the forewoman read the verdicts. Guilty on all counts: attempted murder, multiple counts of fraud, conspiracy, elder abuse, kidnapping, federal charges of wire fraud and interstate crimes. The courtroom erupted. Victims wept with relief. Reporters rushed to file stories. The judge gavelled for order. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The judge was a stern woman in her 60s who'd seen countless criminals but seemed particularly disgusted by Travis. "Mr. Sutton," she said, "you have shown a complete disregard for human life and dignity. You have preyed upon people who trusted you, who loved you, who believed in you. You have destroyed lives, stolen futures, and very likely murdered at least one person. The evidence suggests you would have continued indefinitely if you hadn't been stopped." She sentenced him to life without possibility of parole on state charges. The federal charges ran consecutively. Travis would die in prison. As guards led Travis away, he looked back one last time. Not at his attorneys, not at the victims, at Sarah and me. His expression was pure hatred, but there was defeat in it too. He'd lost, finally and completely. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed us. I gave a brief statement. "My daughter is safe. That's all that matters. And I hope other families see this and know that you should trust your instincts. When something feels wrong, keep fighting. Don't give up on people you love. Document everything. Find allies. The truth will come out." Sarah stood beside me, holding my hand. She added her own words. "Travis Sutton nearly destroyed me, but he didn't. I survived because my father never stopped fighting for me, even when I'd turned against him, even when it seemed hopeless. Love and persistence won. I want other victims to know that it's never too late. You can escape. You can heal. You can reclaim your life." The months after the trial were about healing. Sarah returned to work, Her company had been supportive throughout the ordeal, giving her leave, protecting her job. Her colleagues welcomed her back warmly. She was in therapy twice a week, processing the trauma, learning to trust again. It was slow progress, but it was progress. Sarah also became an advocate. She testified before the state legislature about financial exploitation and coercive control. Her testimony helped pass stronger laws protecting vulnerable adults from predators like Travis. Requirements for better verification of power of attorney documents, stricter regulations on private psychiatric facilities, protections against financial institutions, processing large transfers without proper verification. Our relationship damaged by Travis's manipulation slowly healed. We started having weekly dinners again, this time at my house, peaceful and safe. We talked about everything. The trauma, yes, but also work and hobbies and plans for the future. We processed what had happened, learned from it, grew stronger. Sarah's financial recovery took time. She'd lost about $400,000 to Travis's schemes. Some was recovered from his seized assets. Insurance helped with some losses. A victim compensation fund provided additional support. She'd never get it all back, but she was financially stable. More importantly, she had herself back. Her confidence returned gradually. She laughed more. The haunted look in her eyes faded. She started dating again carefully, with better judgment about red flags and manipulation tactics. Helen became a close friend to both of us. She taught Sarah self-defense awareness techniques, how to spot predators. They had lunch monthly, sometimes more often. Helen had been through her own trauma years ago, and she understood the healing process. Gerald retired after the trial, saying it was the perfect case to end his career on. But he stayed in touch. He and his wife had us over for dinner regularly. He'd become like family. Monica and Sarah's friendship grew stronger than ever. Monica felt guilty for not seeing through Travis sooner, but Sarah reassured her constantly. He fooled everyone. Even the FBI underestimated him. You have nothing to feel guilty about. My legal troubles were resolved. The drug charges were dropped, the prosecution acknowledging the evidence had been planted. The restraining order violations were dismissed given the circumstances. My record was cleared. But the experience changed me. I'd always been relatively trusting, believing in people's basic goodness. Now I was more cautious, more aware. I saw manipulation tactics I'd missed before. I understood how easily people could be fooled by charm and confidence. I joined a support group for families of financial exploitation victims, shared my story, offered hope and practical advice, connected people with resources like Helen and Gerald, helped them understand the legal system, how to document abuse, how to find allies. A year after the trial, a woman named Patricia approached me after a support group meeting. Her elderly mother was being manipulated by a new boyfriend. Classic signs: isolation, financial control, gaslighting. Patricia was desperate for help. I gave her Helen's number, connected her with Gerald's former law firm, walked her through the steps I'd taken. She followed the advice, and 3 months later, her mother was safe, and the boyfriend was arrested. Patricia thanked me with tears in her eyes. You saved my mother's life. I realized then that my nightmare with Travis had purpose. I could help others, turn pain into something meaningful. That understanding brought peace. Sarah and I visited her mother's grave on the anniversary of the trial verdict. We brought flowers, pink roses that had been her favorite. Stood together in silence. Mom would have seen through Travis immediately, Sarah said. She had excellent instincts. Never trusted anyone who tried too hard to impress her. I have her instincts too. I just stopped listening to them. Won't make that mistake again. We walked back to my car together. My limp was permanent now from the injuries Travis had inflicted. My shoulder would never fully heal. But I was alive. Sarah was alive. We were together. 2 years after Travis's conviction, life had found a new normal. Not the old normal, we'd never get that back, but something different, something stronger. Sarah was thriving. She'd been promoted at work now, Senior Vice President of Operations. Her company valued her resilience, her ability to overcome adversity. She'd become a mentor to younger employees, especially women, teaching them about professional boundaries and recognizing manipulation. She'd also found love again. His name was Daniel, a teacher she'd met through volunteer work. Patient, kind, genuine. He'd known about her past from the beginning, and he'd been nothing but supportive. They were taking things slowly, but I could see happiness returning to her eyes. Daniel and I had dinner once a month, just the two of us. He asked questions about Sarah's ordeal, not from morbid curiosity but from genuine desire to understand and support her. He asked my advice on how to be there for her when memories surfaced when she had bad days. I liked him immensely. My work with the support group had expanded. We'd formed a non-profit organization, Families Against Financial Exploitation. Sarah was on the board. Helen volunteered her investigative services. We helped dozens of families every year, connecting them with resources, providing emotional support, advocating for stronger laws. I spoke at conferences about elder abuse and financial exploitation, shared my story publicly, hoping it would help others recognize warning signs before it was too late. The response was overwhelming. So many people with similar stories feeling isolated and helpless. Our organization gave them hope and practical help. One afternoon, I was working in my home office when the phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, still cautious after everything. But something made me pick up. Mr. Carson. My name is Robert Chen. I saw you speak at the conference in Baltimore last month. I need help. My sister is in a situation very similar to what your daughter went through. We talked for an hour. His sister Emily was being manipulated by her fiancé. Classic patterns. Isolation, financial control, gaslighting. Robert had tried to warn her, but she'd cut him off. I felt helpless. I walked him through everything. How to document the abuse, how to gather evidence, how to find the right legal help. Most importantly, how to stay patient and keep the door open for when his sister was ready to accept help. Don't give up on her, I told him. Even when she pushes you away. That's the manipulation talking, not her. Keep trying. She'll need you when she's ready to break free. 3 months later, Robert called again. Emily had reached out. She'd realized something was wrong. With Robert's help and resources we'd provided, Emily left her fiancé safely. The man was under investigation. Emily was in therapy and healing. Thank you, Robert said. You saved my sister. But I hadn't saved her. Robert had. Love and persistence saved her just like it had saved Sarah. I'd just provided a roadmap. These calls came regularly now. People reaching out desperate for help. I couldn't save everyone. Some cases ended badly despite our best efforts. But many ended well. Families reunited. Victims freed. Predators stopped. Each success made the work worthwhile. Sarah and I continued our weekly dinners. Sometimes Daniel joined us. Sometimes Monica. Sometimes Helen. Our family had expanded beyond blood relations to include people who'd been through the fire with us. One evening, Sarah and I sat on my back porch watching the sunset. She was drinking tea. I had coffee. Do you ever regret it? She asked quietly. All the pain you went through trying to save me. The arrests, the accusations, the injuries. Never. Not for 1 second. Why? Because you're my daughter. I'd go through it 100 times to keep you safe. She was quiet for a moment. I was so cruel to you. The things I said believing Travis over you. You were being manipulated and drugged. None of that was your fault. I should have trusted you. Should have known you'd never say those things on that recording. Travis was a professional. He'd been doing this for years. He knew exactly how to exploit doubts and fears. He would have fooled anyone. Dad, can I ask you something? Anything. When you were at that airport when Travis was beating you and you couldn't get up, what kept you going? What made you keep trying? I thought about that moment. The pain, the desperation, the feeling that I'd failed. I kept seeing you as a little girl, 7 years old, skinned knee from falling off your bike. You were crying and I picked you up and carried you inside to bandage you. You stopped crying and said, "Daddies make everything better." And I realized that even though you were 34, you were still that little girl who needed her daddy to make things better. I couldn't let you down. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. You didn't let me down. You never have. We sat in comfortable silence watching the sky turn from gold to purple to deep blue. Stars appeared one by one. What would you tell people going through something similar? Sarah asked. If you could give one piece of advice. I considered the question carefully. I'd tell them that love is both the most vulnerable and the most powerful thing we have. When you love someone, truly love them, you become vulnerable to manipulation and pain. Predators exploit that love, twist it, use it against you. But that same love is also your greatest strength. It gives you the power to keep fighting when logic says give up, to believe when evidence says doubt, to stand when your body says fall. That's beautiful, Dad. I'd also tell them to trust their instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let anyone convince you that your gut feelings are paranoia or overreaction. Our instincts exist for a reason. They protect us. Listen to them. And document everything Sarah added. Keep records, save messages, take photos. Evidence matters. Exactly. And find allies. You can't fight these battles alone. Find people who believe you, who'll stand with you. Gerald, Helen, Monica. I couldn't have saved you without them. Sarah reached over and took my hand. We saved each other. She was right. I'd saved her from Travis, but she'd saved me too. From becoming bitter, from giving up, from losing faith in love and family. Her recovery gave my pain meaning. Her advocacy gave my nightmare purpose. Life is strange and unpredictable. We spend so much time building walls to protect ourselves from pain, from disappointment, from people who might hurt us. But sometimes those walls keep out the people trying to save us. Sarah almost died because Travis convinced her I was the threat when I was the one fighting for her. Love means staying open even when it's risky. Means fighting even when you're losing. Means believing in people even when they've stopped believing in themselves. I'm 70 years old now. I've been through war loss, heartbreak, and a nightmare that almost destroyed my family. But I've also experienced love, loyalty, redemption, and the profound satisfaction of helping others avoid the pain we endured. The scars remain. My shoulder aches on cold days. My limp is permanent. Sarah still has nightmares sometimes. But we're stronger for having survived. We appreciate what we have. We don't take each other for granted. Every week I see families at our support group meetings. They're where I was 2 years ago. Desperate, frightened, feeling helpless. I share my story. I offer hope. I remind them that they're not alone. And I tell them the most important lesson I learned. Never stop fighting for the people you love, even when they've given up on you, even when the world says you're wrong, even when you're standing alone against impossible odds. Because sometimes, love is the only weapon that wins. I think about what could have happened if I'd given up, if I'd accepted the restraining order and walked away. If I'd let Travis take Sarah on that plane, she'd be dead. He'd have won. Evil would have triumphed because good people didn't fight hard enough. But we did fight. We didn't quit. And because of that, Sarah is alive. She's happy. She's helping others. The ripple effects of our fight extend far beyond our family. That's the legacy I want to leave. Not just that I saved my daughter, but that our struggle inspired others to keep fighting. That our pain became purpose. That our darkness led others toward light. As I sit here on my porch watching stars emerge in the evening sky, I feel peace. Not the absence of pain, but peace that comes from knowing you did everything you could. From knowing that love, persistence, and courage can overcome evil. Sarah's getting married next spring. To Daniel, the kind teacher who sees her for who she truly is, who supports her healing, who loves her without trying to control her. She asked me to walk her down the aisle. I cried when she asked. Of course I would. It's a privilege I thought I'd lost forever during those dark months when Travis had poisoned her against me. The wedding will be small, intimate, just close friends and family. No elaborate setup, no staged perfection. Just genuine joy and love. Everything Travis's dinner party wasn't. I'll walk my daughter down the aisle. I'll give her away to a man who deserves her. I'll watch her start a new chapter of life. And I'll know that every painful step of our journey was worth it to reach this moment. That's what I want you to understand. If you're fighting for someone you love right now, if you're facing impossible odds, if everyone says you're wrong but you know in your heart you're right, don't quit. Keep fighting. Document everything. Find allies. Trust your instincts. Stay persistent. The road may be long. You may get arrested, accused, doubted, hurt. You may lose everything trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. But keep going, because love is worth fighting for. Family is worth fighting for. And sometimes the people we're trying to save can't see they need saving until we've already sacrificed everything. So let me ask you something, because your answer matters. Have you ever had to fight for someone you love against impossible odds? Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between walking away safely or risking everything for someone else? What did you choose? And looking back, would you make the same choice again? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's fighting their own battle right now. Let's build a community of people who understand that love requires courage, that family is worth fighting for, that persistence can overcome evil. And if this story resonated with you, if it gave you hope or helped you see your own situation more clearly, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who might need to hear this message. Together, we can help more families recognize manipulation before it's too late, find courage to fight back and understand they're not alone. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for caring about Sarah's journey. Thank you for being part of a community that believes in fighting for what matters. Remember, never stop fighting for the people you love, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when you're standing alone. Because sometimes love is the only weapon that wins. And that, my friends, is the truth I'll carry with me for whatever time I have left on this earth. May you never face what Sarah and I faced. But if you do, may you have the courage, the allies, and the persistence to keep fighting until love wins. Take care of each other out there. Trust your instincts. And never, ever give up on the people you love.